Alright, in this video I'm going to talk about reference angles, and we're going to find the reference angle for a couple examples of some angles either in degrees or in radians. So a reference angle, as a reminder, is an acute angle formed by the terminal side of your angle and the x-axis. So always think about how many degrees or how many radians from my angle to the x-axis. So let's think about 120 degrees. Sometimes it helps to kind of picture what the angle looks like so that you can see where the x-axis would be. So if I sketch 120 degrees, 120 degrees would fall between 90 and 180 degrees. So if this is my initial side, then I would have to go past 90 and about 30 more degrees. This angle right here would be 120 degrees. Okay, so what is my reference angle? Again, the reference angle is the acute angle formed by the terminal side, which is this side of my angle, and the x-axis. So between this and the x-axis over here is an obtuse angle. So my reference angle is this acute angle right here on the other side, formed between the terminal side and the x-axis. So let's think, if this is 120 degrees and this is 180 degrees, what would this angle be right here? Well, I can just subtract 180 minus 120 to see how many degrees are left there, and that would be 60 degrees. So my reference angle for 120 degrees would be 60 degrees. Okay, let's look at one with radians. 7 pi over 4. Let's picture where that angle would be. If I think about pi over 4 being half of the quadrant, this would be pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4. So if this is my initial side, I'd go all the way around 7 pi over 4. This would be my angle right here. Okay? Alright, now I want, again, the reference angle. The reference angle, I'll repeat again, is the acute angle formed by my terminal side and the x-axis. So this time, from my terminal side to this x-axis over here is going to be an obtuse angle. So I don't want this side of the x-axis like I wanted in the previous example. This time, the acute angle between the terminal side and my x-axis is this angle right here. So I want to figure out how many radians between this x-axis and this terminal side right here. Now if you look at my picture, I showed that all these little pieces are the size of pi over 4. So this piece right here would be pi over 4, or pi over 4 would be my reference angle. If you would like to actually calculate that, or if it helps you to show your work, you could think about this as a full 2 pi. And if you want to write that with a common denominator, 2 pi would be equal to 8 pi over 4. So you could take that total 8 pi over 4 and take out 7 pi over 4 to get 1 pi over 4. Okay, so you can either just visually think about it, or you can show your work for that. All right, let's think about this last one. Negative 5 pi over 6. A negative angle, and it's in radians. Okay, now pi over 6 is a like 30 degrees little piece. So there's 3 of them that fit into 90 degrees. So if I want to sketch those pieces here so that I can count out negative 5 pi over 6. Okay, then negative 5 pi over 6 would be, starting here with my initial side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be here in our third quadrant. This would be negative 5 pi over 6. Okay, so now I need to think about what is the acute angle formed with the x-axis. And again, it's going to be this part of the x-axis. So we're going to look for our acute angle right here, and we just need to find the size of that angle formed between the x-axis and the terminal side. And again, it's one of our pieces here that I've drawn around my coordinate plane, and those pieces were the size pi over 6. So you can either just look and write it. Another way to think about it would be If this is pi, that's with a common denominator the same as 6 pi over 6, either positive 6 pi over 6 or going backwards, negative pi over 6, and the amount between 6 pi over 6 and an extra pi over 6, 5 pi over 6 would be 1 pi over 6. So that would be my reference angle there. So don't forget, reference angle is the acute angle formed between the x-axis and the terminal side of your angle.